Hello and welcome to the 9th episode of Criminal Profiling. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at various bombers. And as the thumbnail picture suggests, the planet Uranus often, almost always plays some kind of role when bombs are used. And you'll see why later, but it's not always the case either. And so each case has to be taken individually, as always. And so Uranus won't always be the key player. Mars, the planet of war, may be involved. These are generally people who are using not only bombs, but guns as well. And just have a fascination with artillery, hand grenades, anything like that they can get their hands on that goes boom. Also, Pluto, if they're looking for to change the world or world power in such a huge way, and they want to make a massive impact on the world, either on the world stage, on the news or something like that, and become world news, sometimes Pluto will play out. And there's always that consideration that, as always, we have to remember that generally key words that we use in these episodes are because a person has an extraordinary amount of energy put toward that. They grow up around guns and collecting guns their whole lives. They grow up around planes, and so planes become pop. Whatever plays a big role in their life. And not always do bombs play a big role in someone's life. Not always are they even ever actually interested in bombs themselves. Sometimes they're just an intelligent choice. As when you want to go out and attack a certain people or a person or a group of people. There's the consideration of whether you want to go out and do a spree murder and walk down the street shooting people, in which case you're probably not going to live through that. Or a mass shooting, a mass murder, in which case you're probably not going to live through that either. So often bombs may be chosen because it allows you to set something down and get the heck out of there so you're able to live another day to set another bomb, because that's usually what they're going to do. So it's an intelligent decision to lay a bomb instead, so that they have better chances of living on and being able to do more damage or to get away, whichever they're looking to do. So, the hat. Today's hat. It's just, ninth episode, 9 lives, cat, feminine. So I threw on my triple goddess hat. Some people will recognize the symbol of the triple goddess, minus the pentagram that I just did to fill in the full moon circle. Basically, it's the 3 stages of any woman's life, the 3 stages of life, basically for a lady. There's the maiden, mother, and crone. So the young lady, the middle-aged lady, and the wise old woman. 3 stages of a woman's life: maiden, mother, and crone. So, yeah, I just threw that on today. So, let's see. Let's get back to it. So, the FBI made a few points in their books about bombers, so I thought I'd share them with you in case you want to make some notes when you're doing any kind of investigation into your own charts. Remember, all these charts are always available in the links right below, so you can download them onto your phone, download them onto your computer. You can just open them up as we're working right now, for that matter, and you can watch a documentary or movie and taking a look at the chart. You have all your information also provided in the links below, the meanings of everything. The tables have all been updated, and so on and so forth. So, please take advantage of all of that, okay? And so without further ado, let's take a look at some of the things that the FBI had to say about bombers. Do we shrink the head? Shrink the head. Shrink my head. That's it. Shrink it. Think it while you shrink it. I love that. Anyway, okay, let's do this. The first 5 points I want to make really don't apply too much, just kind of get us into it, the FBI. Explosives are used in over 70% of terrorist incidents. No small wonder. Number 2, bombing targets are hard to predict. Number 3, bombing targets are preceded by threats approximately 33% of the time. Pipe bombs are common as they're easy to make, and black powder is commonly used in the making of pipe bombs, just as an aside. Now, the investigators of the FBI generally look for 3 things when it comes to explosives. Number 1 is the motivation of the bomber. They want to determine that if they can. The their traits and characteristics, how they played it out, where are they bombing, how did they set it all up, what kind of mindset does it show. These can give away traits in a chart as well, so you'll want to pay attention to that one. And the crime analysis, of course, what type of bomb was used as a timer, how sophisticated, tells you a little bit more and more about the individual that you're looking for. And so you can utilize these skills as well. Now, as far as the motivation of the bomber, they've listed some points. Point A, power is the primary motivator. B, mission-oriented people who are thrilled by the process of making and placing the bomb, using overarching cause for excuse. We have a couple, at least one of those in our list today that we're going to be covering. And the technician, the gratification from the elegance of the design. We might have one there in our list today. So these are all things that you can watch for. You can always pause and write them down, whatever you like, for later use. Unless you have the book, it's from the Crime Classification Manual, 3rd edition. Okay, and let's see, let's go on here. The letter D, criminal enterprise, extortion, profit-oriented bomber. This could be a number of things. This could even be mafia, where you're taking out one crime boss with a bomb and then slipping into their place. So, various reasons you can come up with yourself. The letter E, political, racial, religious, or labor disputes, stuff like that. That's happened before, of course, many times over. We've got a guy like that in today. Sometimes it's not truly racial, as one might think. But you'll see later when we take it up. The letter F, revenge. Okay, we have one of those coming up for sure. At least partially. I keep in mind that, I don't think it's mentioned here by the FBI, but a person can be more than one combination here. They can be a combination of more than one, just like in the rape offenders. Could be many types of race offenders in one offender, But for those who are familiar with true crime and the FBI profiling system. Dramatic suicides. Letter G. I don't think I have any dramatic suicides for us today. But anyway, that's some points there. They also note that Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma bomber, this is from the FBI, fits into the power, mission-oriented, political, and revenge classifications. So there you go. There's a few classifications for him that they put him in. Whether you agree or not, it's up to you. They're not, people aren't always right. And sometimes things have to be altered. It is important to know why the bomb was made, set, and exploded. So they're kind of pushing that point as to try to figure out why the bomb was made, set, and exploded. And that helps you to determine more characteristics about the offender, to eliminate suspects, etc., and hone in on the right one. They also note that bombers tend to be white, male, average to above average intelligence, IQ, underachiever, but meticulous plotter and planner. Cowardly, non-confrontational, non-athletic, loner, self-perceived inadequate personality, social skills. So they have a bad perception of themselves as inadequate personality and having poor social skills, etc. And they said that this is fitting for Timothy McVeigh. I don't know if I agree with that or not, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. Each to their own, right? Now, they also mentioned that questions you can ask yourself. Was the victim targeted or accidental? Random? Predictable? The bomb type, was it intricate? What type of expertise does it suggest? Was there a time set type bomb, a remote control, booby trap? We have a booby trap guy here. We have a remote control. We have a few examples of that too. So before we begin, focusing in on Uranus. These are some of my favorite charts to do when it comes to a bomber because I get to determine whether they have a true interest in bombs and how much, or whether they're just utilizing it out of common sense, which can lead you to do that. But you still have to design the bomb. You still have to make it. That's not easy. Not that I've tried, but I can't imagine it is, and I'd be too afraid of blowing myself up anyway. I'm kind of clumsy that way. I'd drop it and gone. But anyway, Uranus is our main character. that we're keeping an eye on. And Uranus is chaos, it's disorder, it's unpredictable, sudden change of direction. It is radical. It changes radically. And radical is a key word that we often hear when it comes to bombers, So as far as their mindset is, they are radical. They are a radical. They often call them radicals. When they call them a radical, they're actually calling them Uranus. Uranus is radical and radical is Uranus. There is no other planet that is radical. An overblown Jupiter, excuse me, could be misconstrued as being radical. It's not. It's just overblown, exaggerated, and so on. Overblown, exaggerated, glorified, things like that belong to Jupiter. Radical, eccentric, and radical belong specifically to Uranus. And of course, Uranus rules Aquarius, and Aquarius rules the 11th house. But we're focusing mostly on Uranus specific, okay? Because the sign Aquarius does not rule bombs. And the 11th house does not rule bombs. Uranus rules bombs. It has aspects of Aquarius, which makes it a good ruling planet, unorthodox, impartial, just, freedom-oriented at all costs type thing. But it's definitely, it's not Aquarius as a sign. It has nothing to do with bombs. Uranus. And no other planet. Not Mars, nothing. So we'll also have to keep a close watch on Mars, as mentioned, and Pluto. For those people who want to, Mars is the guy who loves guns and all kinds of explosives and just artillery in general. Give him a hand grenade, give him a gun, he's happy. And people who do that are Mars-oriented. And then there's the ones that want to make a big statement and change the world, change the world stage. Everybody around the world is talking about them. Sometimes that can come into it. That's Pluto. Okay? Sometimes Jupiter, depending how Jupiter plays out, but it has to have very specific combinations to make Jupiter do that. Jupiter with the 10th house of recognition, stuff like that, and status, has to be blown into that direction. By itself, it doesn't go in that direction, where Pluto is automatically wants the whole world to know. So without further ado, let's get into our first person, because we got quite a few people to go through here. And it's already been, did I reset this timer? I don't know. Well, I'm just going to try to get through this as quick as I can because we've got a few people, okay? So basically what we're doing, we're not going into the bio of each of these people because we wouldn't possibly have time to do 13 or whatever many charts I got here. We only generally have time to do one chart, and that takes an hour and a half. So 13 charts, yeah. So I just want to show demonstrations of what to watch for in case you want to go and check these people out, come up to your own determinations. First one I'm going to do here, I'm kind of almost going in alphabetical order, some of them, not all of them. But Anders Behring Breivik, or Breivik. People will know him from the 2011 Norway attacks on July 22nd, 2011. For those of you who have Netflix, look up July 22. It's an amazing movie that sticks right to the actual happenings. They don't deviate. So it's like going through the whole thing yourself, and you can compare it to the chart as you go. It's amazing. So that's a well worth movie right off the bat. July 22 on Netflix. So what this guy did is he's what I call a radical. Okay, he brings out a manifesto like many of them do. They have something to say. They want to, change the world or whatever. And so he brings out a manifesto calling for the deportation of all Muslims, etc., to maintain the bloodline, get them out of, Norway, etc. And so he's pretty peeved at that. Well, so he says. Or is he looking for attention? For those of you who know his life story, he doesn't have many friends. He's kind of, it looks like he might crave attention or, kind of to get his name out there. He doesn't do so well with groups, even that he's joined up with. So, this might be his way to get noticed. We don't know. One thing we do know is that he used a big bomb. And this is the first thing he did. He went to the tower block, which housed the Prime Minister Jens Stoltenberg, and he set off a bomb there that would kill 8 people. And while everybody was rushing to that scene, he was headed to his next destination already. dressed as a police officer, where he went to an island that's inhabited once a year by the Workers' Youth League, who talk a lot about politics and who are a lot of probably wealthier kids who are going to be in power one day or hope to change the world and so on and so forth. He's out to get them, okay? Not with a bomb. He used the bomb for the building, the tower block. Now he's armed, pretty heavily armed, to go to an island where the kids are going to be trapped. And he goes to the island on the boat and just unleashes on them for a long time. And he kills about 69 or 70 people. I think it was 70 in the end who died. 70 teens. Ouch. Yeah. He wore headphones and music so he could drown out a lot of the screaming and stuff. But a lot of them were hiding under rocks in the water. He was shooting some in the water as they tried to swim away. It was just a horrific scene. In that movie, July 22 plays it out pretty realistically. So he used an ANFO car bomb. He's got rifles and pistols. He's got radical views. This is what I came to my own conclusion. You can come to your own. And that's about it. Later, some people tried to describe him as a Christian terrorist or a fundamentalist. No, not at all. He claimed Odinism, but he wasn't really religious. There's nothing really religious in his writings and stuff like this. He's not calling for everybody to pray to Odin. That's a load of... So he's more of a radical. He's looking for the attention stuff and whatnot. He's got a bit of money behind him. His parents had a bit of power. They were in politics, I think, if I remember rightly. That might not come out in July 22 so much. They might be trying to hide the political end of it. But if you know the story, then you'll know that they had some political connections and stuff. At least a little bit. So for radical, I'm expecting some Uranus out of this. I'm expecting Uranus out of a lot of these. Because even if they don't love bombs and had a lifelong interest in them, to put a bomb together is not an easy task. Might be easier just to go and shoot somebody with all dressed up at night and shoot them at night, run away, poison them, something. Bombs can be pretty scary. So what do we have? Let's put it up here. Sun square Uranus, Mercury square Uranus, Mars, the planet of war, square Uranus. Now these three planets, you'll notice, are in Aquarius of society, who he's striking out at, right? Pretty heavy stuff there. Okay, and Uranus is in Scorpio. Do we go for the revenge thing? Possibly. He had a slight against society. I don't know. But the important thing is his draw to the explosives is well pronounced here, right? Plus his violence with the guns and shooting kids point blank. Kind of forcing himself. He had to really prepare. His preparation for this day, the July 22nd, is incredible. It took a long, long time. And he went through he went through a lot of effort to do it. If you read about him. So he's got the Sun conjunct Mars, Mercury conjunct Mars. So he sees his violence as the answer, and he's attracted to the bomb situation here, surely. Okay? And his radical views are there as well, with the Sun, Mercury, Mars, square Uranus. There's all the radical views. There's his manifesto, the freedom, But the manifesto is going on about bloodlines and stuff. And if you look at his Jupiter, there's nothing going on with Jupiter. I can't put anything up for you. For Mercury, there's only a little bit of anger, a little bit of radical. The guy, he wants to be seen as powerful and very important. He's got Pluto square ascendant, right? For his own emotional stuff there. It's in Cancer, right? So he does see there is a power coming into this a little bit, just like the FBI mentions a lot of power. It plays out in these people. This one plays out with a little bit of power, in fact, with Pluto square the ascendant, how he sees the world, how he wants people to see him as a powerful. And if you look at his pictures, he takes a lot of militant-like pictures as he starts, because that's of his manifesto. He wants to start the Freedom Party, whatever he calls his, I forget what he calls his phony party. It was just him. I think he made it sound like there was other people involved. It was just him. So that just goes to show you he's not getting along well with people and stuff like that. And he's lashing out here. And yeah, possibly for inadequacies and stuff. So you can take it from there and go on and take it on from there. You got the chart, you got everything you need. You even got the time of birth there. So yeah, we'll do a full thing on him one day down the road. I mean, this is just briefing on these people. So let's get on with it. David Copeland. He did the London nail bombings, nails like 9 inches long. He himself was part of 2 different groups. He claimed to be like a neo-Nazi type thing, had Nazi flags up and stuff. He was a part of the British National Party and the National Socialist movement. Nobody really took to him. He wanted to get some action going with violence and stuff like that, and that wasn't really taking off. So yeah, he kind of struck it on his own to get the action going, and that's exactly what he did. So what he did on the first bomb, he did bombings over 3 weekends, successive weekends, right? While they were looking for him. I don't know if you've seen. There's also on Netflix, put in Nail Bomber. And I think it's called The Search for the Nail Bomber or something like that. There's a documentary, very good documentary on him. And you'll get some stuff out of that too. Okay. And there was a pregnant woman who was killed in there. But hang on. Let's. So he's supposedly out against all kinds of people. His first bomb is at the Brixton Market. This is in Europe, Britain. Where there's a large black population. So that's his first bomb going off there. The second one, on Brick Lane, there's a large Bangladeshi crowd that hangs around there. So these guys, a bit of racism coming in here. On the third one, he's gone to a place called the Admiral Duncan, which is a gay bar, where he bombed it. And that's where the pregnant woman got killed. I believe she had just gotten engaged or married or something, and she went there with her fiance or husband. And their friend, who was gay, took him to that particular bar. She got killed there. So he's killing people he's not even after us. So I see that's where the nature of Uranus comes in. It's chaos, right? So we got a guy who seems pretty violent, Mars kind of violent. Remember, Uranus isn't always necessarily violent, right? Yeah, you want to look for Mars for that. So this guy seems to have a violent edge. We'll have to see how much of one, if that's really his motive, if he's angry. The racism seems to be all over the place. He seems like a radical too, because he just hates everybody. Apparently, that isn't like him, right? That's what it kind of comes down to. So he would attack any kind of group. Muslims, it just doesn't matter. Anything just that's not of his bloodline, There's some down south stuff for you. So let's take a look. And obviously I'm also going to be looking for Uranus because he's a bomb guy. Just bombs, no guns, man. So that's why, Mars, I'm just thinking of the anger, but bombs definitely, because he didn't go out and shoot anybody and run away. He didn't even get a sniper rifle and take someone out from a distance to try to stay safe, anything like that. So let's see what we got. Mars, let's do Mars first. Mars takes us right to Uranus. Ooh, I don't memorize these, by the way. I'm just kind of looking at this. Mars square Uranus. Mars is in Cancer. Again, that's the emotional thing we saw just in the last chart, right, with Anders. So Mars, we don't have a time of birth for this one, as you can see. Mars in Cancer, square Uranus in Scorpio. Mars square Uranus for the other guy too, Anders. And Mars was in Aquarius for the last one. And it was square Uranus in Scorpio as well. Okay, just different signs for Mars. So we got Mars in his emotional thing here, square Uranus in Scorpio, which is also a water sign. Sort of for a revenge thing. So this guy is misplaced anger, not the smartest thing. He's not even the smartest dude. He's got some smarts, enough to put a bomb together. I mean, he's got Mercury, sextile Saturn, which we won't worry about. I'm focused more on other stuff during these charts. So we do get our Uranus. And we've also got Saturn square Uranus, which helps him to go through with it. Because Saturn hangs on, doesn't let go too easy or get too easily frightened away. He's going to go through with it. It's persevering. is what Saturn is often, with concentration and perseverance. That's why it rules math and stuff like that as well, right? So he was able to put together some good bombs, and they did work, all of them. So let's see, he killed 3 people. He injured 140. A baby had like a 9-inch nail in the brain too. So it's just nasty. And so that's him. We get a bit of radical out of there. You can go through and decide whether you think it's based in true anger or if it's more radical. Again, I'm sticking to the radical because Mercury is sextile Saturn. Jupiter is opposite Uranus. Jupiter is where you generally find your racism. Jupiter, if it's attacked by Saturn in the wrong way with a square opposition and narrows their mind, or the Sun with Saturn can narrow the mind and make them racist or narrow-minded and tunnel vision, stuff like that. Remember, Saturn always restricts. Jupiter seeks to expand. So Jupiter is shrunken down when it's attacked by Saturn, right? It's restricted. So here, Jupiter is opposite Uranus, and Uranus is radical. And Jupiter is just all expansive. It needs something to say, whoa, slow back, ease up. Uranus is not a good person for that because he might be this way one minute and then he's like, the next. It's chaos. It's like explosive. It's unorthodox. It's eccentric. It feels one way today and another way tomorrow. It's totally fickle. It's unpredictable. Right? It's unpredictable. What's that song, man? Just came to my mind. I hope you have the time of your life. No, that song with the unpredictable word. Anyway, I don't know why these things come to my mind. Green Day, right? Cool. So take a look at that, and you can see misplaced philosophies, totally, with Jupiter in conjunct Neptune, right? Neptune deceptive. This is self-deception. This is thinking that you're working on a higher order or a higher level. That's Jupiter, the executive, working on a higher level, but fooling itself with this self-deception with Neptune provides deception and distortion. Distortion being the key word, which makes it deceptive. Your own thoughts are being distorted and you don't know they are. So he's got misplaced ideas and stuff like that and distortions. So jump on that if you want. Next one. I just threw these in for fun, these next 2 guys, because they really have not too much to do with bombs. They did bring bombs to the school. None of them went off. Columbine. Everybody knows Columbine, right? Bowling for Columbine. Michael's amazing documentary. I like Mike. Anyway, yeah. So Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris. Dylan Klebold doesn't have much going on in his chart. There's nothing radical about this boy. Okay? Nothing going on with Uranus. Now, in the films, remember the films where it shows them preparing for Columbine? They're not blowing things up, are they? Not that I've seen. They're shooting guns, right? And they're doing some action and dramatic film footage, being kids and stuff like that with it. You'll notice on the ascendant sign of Dylan, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets in the sign of justice, Libra. Do we have a problem with one of them? Jupiter conjunct Saturn. He's got a strong sense of justice. And these guys were picked on in school. It's now you can't really, bullies just bug me anyway. But bullies are often young people who have inadequacies themselves, and that's why they're bullies. Something's wrong with the inside of them, so they got to be tough on the outside to make up for the inside, right? Because they're idiots, right? Sorry, well, they are. They're idiots. Sorry, not idiots. Morons. Anyway, morons. So these guys were picked on by a lot of morons. Okay? Fact. So I don't think Dylan's going to take too kindly to that. He's sensitive to justice. So they've pushed him. Not wise. Look at his Pluto. Venus conjunct Pluto. Jupiter conjunct Pluto. Jupiter conjunct Pluto can take things very far. But he's not violent. Mars is only opposition to the moon opposition Mars at 10 degrees separating. It's almost non-existent. Any second it's going to be non-existent. So, you know what? This is not a violent boy. This is not a boy going out to hurt people or is a bad seed. Okay? Something's happened along the way. There's nothing. There's no Mars. There's no Uranus. There's nothing going on with this guy. What happened? What happened? Let's take a look at Eric. Venus conjunct Mars. Okay. Love of guns and stuff like that, maybe? Sure. It's a conjunction, so it doesn't mean it's gone violent yet. Usually you need a bit of distortion somewhere, and then it sets it off. Then it can be used. Then it becomes even more dangerous because it is direct. Sun conjunct Mars. This guy has an attraction, maybe to kung fu movies, action-packed stuff. You know, maybe he came up with the idea for those films they were doing where they were the two guys walking down with the trench coat gang, and they're not even part of the trench coat gang. You know, just fantasizing and stuff like that, being young. And but he's not one to toy with, I'll tell you. He's got the sun opposite Pluto. Oh, man. Pluto is in Libra. Take a look. Justice. The sun is in Aries. Aries takes action in a big way. Pluto in the biggest way. The two together, if that energy comes up and points and says, you're done, then you're probably done. Once it gets to that point, you could be done. I mean, lots of people have that, but I mean, if they strike out to get someone, they're not going small, man. Okay? They're going to go big. Pluto's involved. They're going big. Not only that, okay, so he has the sun opposite Pluto, Venus opposite Pluto, Mars, the planet of war, opposite Pluto. Holy mackerel. Mars in Aries, opposite Pluto in Libra. You got to be pretty stupid to bully a guy like this, because you might be hulking, but when he comes back, he's going to bring something that'll make you into pieces, right? So your hulkingness will be all over the place, which incidentally happened. Stupid people. You got to know who you're dealing with, man. Mercury opposite Jupiter, Mercury opposite Saturn. This guy may not be friendly to you, okay? He may not be the friendliest guy. He's probably trying to be social, but as he gets older, he's probably going to be less and less social with these kind of aspects. He's young right now, a little extra energy to push him out there. As he grows older, he'll tighten up those bolts. You know, he'll get used to adults and he'll see how dangerous they are, just like kids. So he'll tighten up those bolts and be more wary of the adult, just like he should be. Jupiter conjunct Saturn, keen sense. Yeah. So my suggestion and my opinion is that Eric is the one to first come up with the idea. His buddy went along with him. They were chums. They saw each other through to the end. They were both being bullied. They understood each other. They were best buds. And so Dylan went along with Eric, not Eric going along with Dylan. That's my guess. I'm going to have to watch the documentaries again, but I think Eric would be the more likely one to say, that's it. You've gone too far. Let's go get those guys. We got the guns. We got the know-how. We're the trench coat gang. Okay, and that's kind of where, that's my prediction. I'm not sure, but if I had to predict, I might even go against the documentaries, because this does give us an edge over other people's opinions, because it doesn't have an opinion. It just is. That's the beauty of it. Okay, so that's my opinion. And the bombs were just a toss-in. They don't stand out at all. Zero. They were just a toss-in. And no wonder they didn't explode. There's nothing going towards them. There's no focus to make it happen. An intelligent idea to blow a bunch of people up and then, like a smoke bomb almost, and then just like open fire. You could try to get into their heads, right? Okay, but the guns are there. Venus conjunct Mars. Okay. And Pluto, I wouldn't say this is a thing about power. Could be, couldn't be. It's an opposition, an awkwardness. To be seen as somebody who is viable and stuff like that. Maybe that would come into it later, but hard to say. I don't want to jump on that too much. The point is, the explosives play almost no role in it, and neither did the bombs go off. So that's a good example for you there. Now, let's get on with Eric Rudolph. Eric Robert Rudolph, also known as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. No, seriously. Okay. If you don't recognize him, he is the Olympic Park bomber. Okay, that was, I believe, his first bomb. I hope. I'm just kind of winging this. I just wrote these notes at work while I was terrible. I shouldn't even say that. Anyway, Olympic Park bomber. He says later he regretted doing that, but he wanted to send a message to, he wanted to embarrass the government as it does not prohibit abortion, as it apparently should. So this guy was born and raised really religious. So he's got religious problems. It's shaped his world. He's all messed up that way. But he's got great aspects for religion. So you can see he could be a very religious guy and stuff. And he wouldn't be one of those evangelists blowing his top and screaming mad. He would be more logical and straightforward as a preacher type person, if he's even that involved. But it does look like he's probably got some religion going on, even though we don't have the houses and can't, put all the pieces together. So what I'm interested in is the fact that he's using bombs more than once. He used a bomb at the Olympic Park. Okay. Let's see. He injured 11 people at the gay club. So I'm not sure how many people, if any, died at the Olympic Park bomb. I haven't got that well noted here. But anyway, bomb went off there. I can't believe I didn't write that down. Oh, he killed one. He only killed one and injured 111? I guess. Oh, maybe I did write it down. How about that? Yeah, is that right? He only killed one. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, he killed one and injured 111. I'm not sure what kind of bomb that was, actually, for that one. But then he goes on and he bombs in 1997 an abortion clinic and a gay nightclub where he injures 11. Bombing a clinic, a women's abortion, and on that bomb at the women's clinic, the abortion clinic, he kills a police officer and then maims a nurse. He kills a police officer. Not good. He goes on the run. He's really hard to catch because he's like a woodsman. He's got friends around who probably helped him. God knows. He looked in pretty good shape when they caught him, so he was getting well fed. But then he was caught by accident, just casually, as he was climbing through a dumpster looking for food and stuff. And it was a routine stop, and the guy recognized him, and that was that. So, is he really that religious? Well, he could have some very strong religion. Sun sextile. His logic and everything is tied in with it, with his own personality and emotions, because Jupiter's in Cancer and all that, right? But you'll notice something else is the Sun opposite Saturn, Mercury opposite Saturn. Remember we were talking about Saturn restricts everything in the mind, which is totally open by itself when it's not bothered by anybody or any other planet, you might say. That when Saturn comes along, it restricts it. It just tunnel visions it. It just squeezes it in there to a tunnel vision. Well, that's what it does. So here we're looking at the Sun opposite Saturn, Mercury, his mental mind opposite Saturn. So he struggles with a very closed mind. He might fluctuate a little bit there and be almost open-minded one day, then he'll just shrink right back and stuff like that. So he might appear to some people just to be more normal when he's actually got some pretty good tunnel vision there. Saturn is also opposite Uranus. So that tunnel vision is connected to Uranus, the bomb. What else is attached to bombs here? The Sun is conjunct Uranus. Venus conjunct Uranus. Saturn opposite Uranus. Uranus, no, we're not going to add that one. Conjunction to Pluto doesn't matter. If you see that, Uranus conjunct Pluto, ignore it, because when you have two outer planets like Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto, and they're in conjunction with each other, that's generational. That conjunction can last so long. You do not use it in your practical work. Only for generations of people. Okay, so we ignore that. We've got Saturn opposite Uranus, Venus conjunct, Sun conjunct. So it's not overly radical. There's tinges of religion in there and closed-mindedness. And we get that. So what puts this dude over the top? Where does the action come in? Well, Mars square Neptune. So misplaced anger, misplaced misconceptions, misplaced delusions, right? Illusions. That's Neptune, delusions and deception. Mars is the planet of aggression, which is in Leo, which is a fire sign, and he takes it personally. That's his ego there. Square Neptune, which is in Scorpio. I'll get back at you. There could be a tinge of revenge in there because Neptune's in Scorpio. He's got the religion going. There could be a tinge of revenge in there. But there's also power. Somebody's really pushing their power. Sun conjunct Pluto. That's pretty powerful. Sun conjunct Uranus. Yeah, he's a bit eccentric. He's very complicated, actually. This is a complicated dude, so you're going to have to study him fairly deeply. Okay? But he does have the connections to the bombs in there. He's used them many times over. So he's attracted to bombs as a use of a weapon. So we needed to see Uranus in there. Look how many times he's used it, right? This isn't like Eric Harris in Dylan at Columbine. This is a guy who's attacked and killed people a few times over, always with bombs. So you can expect Uranus to rear its ugly head. And there's a bit of power in there. Okay, and the guy's got some power. He can go all the way. This guy can go all the way. He ain't no coward. He's not non-confrontational. He'd take you out. Okay. So next, James Eagan Holmes. Okay, James Eagan Holmes, you remember him from the Aurora, Colorado shooting, the Batman movie? No, he wasn't dressed as Batman. On July 19th, 2012. I think most people just looking at his pictures can plainly see there's something not right about this guy. He's not putting on an act. He's losing it, man. He's losing it. And there's something snapping in there. He's a brilliant guy, brilliant potential, but something is going wrong with this dude, and we're not really sure. It never really came out for me, and maybe I didn't study it deep enough. I'll have to go back, maybe. But basically, he went into the movie theater, and he shot and killed 12 people. He injured 70. He was charged with 140 counts of attempted murder, but probably because there was that many people in the theater and outside places that he was, and probably attempted to kill and didn't get a chance to because they escaped. So they just threw them all in there. And he also got 1 count of illegal exploding devices or exploding device. Well, actually, he had, 16 improvised explosives, fairly sophisticated on timers, etc., in his apartment. Hopefully I got a picture of it. They're weird-looking bombs. They look like bowling balls. Or those old bombs you see in the cartoons, the round ones with the wick sticking out. And to make it worse, he filled up containers full of gasoline. He's got stacks and stacks of big, heavy-duty bullets. What were they? Did I even write that down? They were pretty heavy-duty bullets. And so they were going to go off too. After the bombs go off, it's going to set the bullets. It's just going to be chaos everywhere. And he knows that's going to be police going in there. So he actually told them. He warned them. So he didn't want to kill the police. He changed his mind. He's probably lucky. Well, that would have been an instant death sentence, right? But you'll notice, look at the stellium here in Sagittarius. That just shows you the intelligence. I don't know if you remember from the understanding the chart, when you have a stellium, also called a cluster of planets within conjunctions, and they work together, and you can get a higher degree of intelligence out of it often because of the focus of that energy on a single point. And here you have that. And the point is university, higher education. Okay? He's kind of directed towards there, but something's gone awry. I'm looking for it here. And the only one that really stands out to me is, there's it again. I guess the moon, we have his time of birth here. So I'm just guessing that, I hope this time is right, but it's always with a grain of salt. It may not be. I've not seen the actual time of birth, like the actual certificate. Sometimes I just want to see that, because I don't trust people anyway. So anyway, he's got squares. The moon is in big trouble. We got the moon square Saturn, moon square Uranus, moon square Neptune. Uh-oh. That's 3 major squares to the moon. That can involve depression that he doesn't even talk to people about, because on the other hand, he's struggling internally with Sagittarius, who's the opposite of depression. That's optimism. Sagittarius rules optimism. Basically, its ruling planet is Jupiter, right? Which is gain, and we were talking about Jupiter, all expansive, and yet he's got this black cloud over his head. And so he's struggling probably internally. You'll note that the 5th house, everything's in the 5th house, like the bomb and everything, and everything, a lot of his energy in the 5th house. That 5th house rules movie theaters, just as an aside. You might have already picked up on that, as the 5th house rules entertainment. So now the moon is square Uranus and square Neptune. This guy probably has a couple of psychological issues that are emotionally involved. So it's not like Mercury square Neptune where it's just schizophrenia straight out. There's something more going on with this guy that's even more emotionally deeper involved. It's a complex, and it's got an attachment to the emotions. Okay? So psychologically, I don't know what that would be. Psychiatrists and that would have to figure that out, psychologists. But it's definitely attached to the emotions. There's distortion and stuff like that. The emotions could be highs and lows, you know. They call it, someone's like high 1 minute, low the next. He might suffer from that kind of thing emotionally because of Uranus goes to one extreme, then goes to the other. It's unexpected, just blows up. And of course, the moon leads more towards that psychotic kind of, schizophrenic kind of tendency. The Mars is conjunct Pluto. Okay, this guy, again, if he sets out to do something, he can go all the way, which he did. So that's what gave him the balls to go down to that theater and shoot all those people in the theater to plan the whole thing out. He's got Mars conjunct Pluto, goes all the way, right? He's got lots going on with Uranus, as we already said. Sun conjunct Uranus, Moon square Uranus, Mercury conjunct Uranus, Saturn conjunct Uranus. Yeah, that's a lot of attraction. So no wonder he set up booby trap. That's where the booby trap bombs that he set, booby traps. So they had to use a machine to take apart his apartment. So you can go through and take a look at there, and you can try to you can see for yourself what you think of it. He's got the Mars in Scorpio, but I don't think this is a revenge thing. It's Mars conjunct Pluto. So that would be able to normally handle the revenge thing. It's not even society. Yeah. There's no society involved or anything like that, is there? 3rd house, just general public. Yeah, not surprised he went to a movie theater. So there you go. Jupiter in the 9th house. You notice that up there? Jupiter in the 9th house? That's, again, university. The guy's he would have been very smart. But unfortunately, it looks like he's got some emotional problems deeply embedded in him. But you've got your bombs in there for sure. Okay, next is Judy Goodyear, also known as Julius Bueno. No, let's just go with Goodyear, shall we? Goodyear is the name she took on when she married a guy with the last name Goodyear, whom she ended up murdering. This one is interesting because there's no love of bombs, I can tell you. There's no love of bombs. What she did was she killed her first husband, killed one of her boyfriends, tried to kill another boyfriend by blowing up his car. That's where the explosives come in. She uses poison on the others, arsenic. She drowns her own son. He's about 10 or 12 or 13. He's fairly young. He's partially paralyzed in the legs. So he's got these metal prosthetic attachments, you might say, these braces, metal braces. She pushes him out of the boat, and the metal braces drag him to his doom under the water. That's his mother. So, yeah. So here, she's going for money. She's getting insurance. But it's not always Scorpio 8th house. In this case, it does come out. Whenever insurance, if someone's murdering for insurance, always turn and look into the 8th house in Scorpio, not Pluto, 8th house or Scorpio, to see if there's any action going on there. That's one of your first suspects in the chart. And then you can move on from there, but go right to Scorpio and you'll start to see a little something. So let's start there. Okay, we're in our 8th house, we see Venus. We see Venus square Mars, planet of war. Mars is in the 5th house of romance. She also tried to take out boyfriends, didn't she? Oh, yeah. And if you've read anything about her, you'll know she was really brutal. She's like someone you can almost picture with a whiskey bottle, hitting people as they go by, really crude, saying things like, F you, stuff like that. She's kind of got like that rough, edged, rugged side. That's Venus square Mars, because Venus is the planet of feminism, right? In the feminine, ultimate, Mars comes in and makes it very manly. So, read up about her and you'll see Venus square Mars right away as her personality, right? It's very illuminating. And that's about it for Venus. So we got Venus in Taurus, which rules your money, in the 8th house, which rules insurance, square to Mars, the planet of war, in the 5th house of romance. Okay, so we can see how she could be violent. And so therefore, it doesn't surprise me that she tried to blow up one of her boyfriend's cars and turn it into a bomb. So she didn't make a bomb. This isn't Uranus. We're not really going for Uranus. Now, this is one of those trick things. Uranus may still come into it because she wants it unexpected, off to the side. Has nothing to do with me. It was way over there, chaos. So it's an intellectual decision. By the way, for her Uranus, Saturn conjunct Uranus in Gemini, 9th and 8th house. Okay, so you can see her maybe trying to blow someone up with an explosive. Uranus does come into it, but you know what? I think it's more Venus and Mars that's telling the tale here. You could disagree with me on there, but it does give her the know-how and the concentration to build a bomb if she wanted to. She might be able to do that if she can hold her Venus square Mars intact. Otherwise, she'll blow herself up if she's not careful. But what really sticks out for this woman, what really is the catalyst, right here, Sun square Jupiter, Moon square Jupiter. We have the time of birth. You can see the houses. Mercury square Jupiter. Jupiter, 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 Jupiter. Greed, greed, greed. Jupiter rules greed. It rules gain. It's all expansive. It's got nothing holding it back. It's out of whack. It's got 3 squares. Just give me more, 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 right? That's what's happening here, right? And Jupiter has nothing stopping it. Venus sextile, that has no help. You want Saturn to come into sextile. If Jupiter was sextile Saturn, that could at least hold back on the greed, man. Easy. There's nothing holding it back, man. It's just, that's why she takes out her own kid. I mean, it's just over the top greed. That is the true catalyst. So these 3, the Mercury square Jupiter in particular, gives her the, not only the greed along with the other ones, but the intellectual decision making of insurance. How do I get this money? Kill them. Venus square Mars. So she kills him. She's pretty violent too. So interesting. Oh, and she also burned down her house, which is kind of a violent thing too. It's very fiery. That again is Venus square Mars. It's kind of that's almost explosive too, being an arsonist. So she's tried to blow up a car, burn down her house, it all for the sake of greed. She's used poisoning. You're probably wondering why I haven't mentioned poison, because we're talking about bombs. We'll do a thing on poisoning one day for people who just love poison. Just poison everybody, even their own family. They just can't get enough poison. But with her, she just used that to be discreet and try to wipe them out and get the insurance. That was the main thing, is that greed, right? So we can with Neptune, there's nothing really outstanding. We have Neptune conjunct ascendant in Libra, the decision maker. Okay. So that kind of shows you. And it's in the 12th house. Secretive, discreet, behind the scenes. Slip it into their drink. That's the 12th house. Secret enemies. It's their wife. It's their fiance. It's their girlfriend doing this. So that's very fitting. So that's all the time we can spend on that one. Next, Kiplin Kinkel. He's one of the earlier school shooters. He first shot his mother and father, then went to school and tried to shoot some people there. He didn't get a big body count, luckily, before he was stopped. And he lived through it. He wasn't shot down by police, which is unusual too, right? So He lived to tell the tale. He liked bombs and guns, had 3 somewhat sophisticated bombs with timers at home, the police found. 3 timed bombs, 2 pipe bombs, and fireworks. He also had a hand grenade. How the heck is he getting this? And 55 millimeter artillery shell casings. Whoa. So he already had a liking for bombs. He's attracted to bombs specifically. He likes blowing things up. That's Uranus. He also likes guns. That's Mars. Maybe he has a little bit of both. I don't know. Let's find out. There's Venus square Mars. Attraction to war, basically. This could include explosives, but I'm hoping for a little more explosives to come out of it because it's so specific. But Venus square Mars could be just anything war, like hand grenades. And just give me anything that goes boom and destroys things. You know, bullets, bombs, take it all, man. Aerosol cans under fire. He's got the Sun square Uranus. There's our Uranus. I figured it'd come into it. It often does when it comes to explosives. Watch for Uranus to rear its ugly head in explosives, okay? It can be Mars, it can be Pluto, but depending on the situation. In this case, it could have been just Mars. I mean, the guy just likes artillery. He probably likes violent games and plays the video games, shooter games and all that too. A lot of people do. It has nothing to do much with anything. So that's him. And so we get our Uranus and we get our violence. Moon square Saturn, he may suffer from some depression. He wants some power maybe, some moon. Oh, we don't know. There's no time of birth. Scratch that. We cannot trust it. I didn't even say that. Moon square Saturn, who knows? We don't have a time of birth. Ah, that sucks. That's what I mean. You hope to get what you can when you don't have the time of birth. You hope to see what you need to see, and we did. We didn't need moon anything. We got our Uranus. We got our Mars. Saturn conjunct Pluto. That can be pretty destructive, man. Well, he killed his mother and father. Right? This goes all the way. Saturn can just shut you down, and you can kill your own mother and father. You can kill people, no problem. It just shuts you down, right? And it goes all the way. That's Pluto going all the way. Saturn shutting you down. Okay. Saturn conjunct Pluto. Whoa. Okay. That's in Libra. Again, that decision thing. He's taking it to the limit. He's decided to do what he's going to do. And Saturn is persevering, remember? That's why it rules math. It's a concentrative. It's persevering. Once it's made up its mind, it can go all the way. That's just what happened. So that even plays a role. Yeah, usually everything plays a role. But, no, not everything. But, you know what I mean? There's a lot playing a role in one thing. It's never just one thing. But next, Mark Hoffman. Mark Hoffman. Did I miss anything as far? Okay, yeah, you knew. I mentioned that. You know about Columbine. Eric Rudolph, there's a couple of documentaries on. Holmes, there's documentaries on YouTube. Julius Bueno, I believe there's documentaries on that series called Snapped. I bought that whole series because one day I wanted to be more interested in the women who kill. Usually it's for love or for money. And so I was going to do a whole thing on that, some episode on that one day. I will. I have the whole series just right there. Snap, crapple, stop, crapple, pop. Bowl of Rice Krispies. Snap, crackle, pop. That's society today, isn't it? Yeah, I've been talking all day. I can't even word things anymore. I better finish. I'm starting to be yeah, like that. Oh, man. Okay. Next, Mark Hoffman. There's a movie about him. I just watched it last night, man. It's called Murder Among the Mormons on Netflix. You might have seen it. He's one of the world's most potent forgers and counterfeiters. Incredibly. To give you an example, at age 13, he made his own polygraph and learned how to trick them by practicing like stuff like this. Yeah. And he was able to do documents for the Mormons and making incredible sums of money. He was married, 4 kids, when he got caught. But when things were about to fall down and crash under his feet, and he was about to lose it all, he needed to get rid of the people who were going to make him lose it all. And he chose bombs. That's why he's here. So forget the forgery. I'll give you a quick tip on the forgery. Jupiter, the executive highest level, square Neptune, forgery, theft, deception, counterfeit. That's not all of it, but of course he's operating at a very high level, so it's not Mercury square Neptune. It'd be a lower level. Jupiter square Neptune. This guy's one of the world's best, if not the best, forgers. So we'll have to do a show on him one day. Let's get back to the bombs. Why did he choose bombs? Why didn't he sneak up at night or hire somebody? Some people hire people. He had a little bit of money. Sounds like he might be a bit greedy though, but he could have snuck up, shot them, poisoned them. There's different ways that one can do it. I'm suspecting Uranus is going to come into this, okay? Because it's just that way. Jupiter conjunct Uranus. Let's have it. Jupiter conjunct Uranus. Okay, spin the big prize wheel. And it's in Cancer. We often get Cancer, don't we? Cancer, what's up with Cancer these days? Anyway, no, that just breaks it an emotional attachment to it. He doesn't want to lose everything. Okay, wants to protect himself, the shell of the crab. God knows what, you know what I mean. But there's an emotional attachment to there. He wants to protect himself. There's that protective element of Cancer. There's also a prominent element that's got more to do with his... It's also a bit of genius in there. Jupiter conjunct Uranus is not a negative square. It's not an opposition. It's no problem. It's a clean Jupiter conjunct using Uranus. So it's an intelligent decision. And it also shows that he's got a bit of genius, flashes of genius there. Which if you watch that movie, you'll see it in action. What I mean. That's Murder Among the Mormons on Netflix. Okay? So he was raised with the Latter-day Saints. He made bombs for fun with friends growing up. Jupiter conjunct Uranus. That's so fitting. Good. Good. Uranus square Neptune doesn't count. Remember, the outer planets do not count. Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. When they're in aspect to each other, don't try to put like personality stuff to that too much. It has to be one of these first 7 planets going towards the outer planet, right? Mercury, a fast planet, going towards Neptune, Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto. Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Conjunct, square, opposition, Neptune, or Pluto, or Uranus. Along with the quincunx in conjunct. Okay, so Uranus square Neptune means nothing to us. That's generational because it's so slow. He's got some other stuff in there. I'm not going to worry too much about it. He has the coldness and ability. It appears, but that's the moon. We can't trust it, so forget that. Let's just erase that. Mercury square Mars. Those people did not notice his Mercury square Mars. Of course, his Mercury's in Sagittarius, which is higher learning and culture, which he's doing his crimes with. That kind of religious stuff. That's what his crimes involve, religious stuff. Sagittarius. Mercury in Sagittarius. Square Mars in Pisces, history. So you can see how it plays out with the history and culture and stuff like that with his crimes. Check it out. Mark Hoffman. All right. Murder Among the Mormons. 2 bombs. He killed people he knew, man, that were buying things from him too. So, yeah, I killed 2 people. Arrested 3 months later. In another note, I've got bombs to murder 3 people. He constructed 3 bombs total. He had 3 people in mind, but he only got around to killing 2 because one of the bombs went off in his car. Yeah, blew his car up. So if you Google his name, you'll see the car in black and white pictures. And I think there's one color picture, but black and white pictures of his car all blown up. But he lived. He's in jail for life. But anyway, we don't want to waste any more time on him. Let's go to the next one. Theodore Kaczynski. Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. Called the Unabomber because he sent bombs to the university, right? Thus he was kind of named that by the FBI. This guy here has a manifesto too. The only difference is this manifesto makes perfect sense and it's right in every single aspect. Nobody disagrees with it in their right mind. Professors agree with it. I agree with it. Anybody can see the damage that industrialization is doing to people and that it's going to destroy us and we're not going to stop. That's a given, right? That's, if you read his manifesto, he's dead on. He's a genius. Right? It's the way he went about it. All right? Sending the bombs to these people he felt were contributing to the destruction of the world and to send out his message. That's too bad it went out that way. But guess what? He has Mercury square Neptune. Self-deception, wrong thinking. Yeah, that's kind of fitting to why he kind of distorted that. He's also got Jupiter, higher learning, square Neptune. So no wonder he might have taken wrong paths, wrong routes. If he had a partner who could keep him stabilized in that area of life, because he was having some problems with the social aspect of life, right? Then things might have not occurred that way, because he was like Jeffrey Dahmer. He had a large desire to be, social. He liked being social. He liked being accepted, but there was awkwardness. There was problems. You can see all the Gemini, Uranus, Sun, Saturn, Mercury, and Jupiter, all in Gemini, the social sign. So things are going wrong there, right? He's still a genius. He's got the Sun conjunct Saturn, Sun conjunct Uranus, Mercury conjunct Jupiter. Okay, and for Saturn, of course, is the math. Sun conjunct Saturn, Saturn conjunct Uranus. You can compare that combination to Jeffrey Epstein in episode 3, is it? Where he's a genius with math, but Neptune gets in there and turns it deceptive, where all it is for Ted is just ability. And, okay. So that's it. So bombs for him may have been likely a decision, a logical decision. Because like I say, you just can't go to a place and start opening fire unless you want to die that day. You mass murder, spree murder, good chance you're going to die. So he just wants to send it out, send the message, get his manifesto out there. He did all of the above. And he killed 3 people. Injuries were 11. It took years to bring this guy in, and nobody probably would have ever caught this guy. The FBI couldn't catch him. Who did catch him? It was his brother's wife, not his brother. His brother's wife was the one who kind of said, hey, doesn't that remind you of... And his brother's like, oh, yeah, and he's looking at it. She encouraged him to keep it up and to contact people, or his brother would have dropped it. His brother didn't want to believe that, obviously. It's his brother. He loves him, right? So who caught him was his brother's wife. She's the reason that he got caught. 16 bombs between 1978 and 1995, 17 years. Math genius, Sun conjunct Saturn conjunct Uranus, or Saturn conjunct Uranus as well. Okay, and that's about it for him. But we have 2 separate times of birth for him. So that's chart number 1. In chart number 2, not much different. The only real difference in chart number 2 is that you get the Sun square Moon. You get the Moon square Uranus. And you can look at the houses and see the difference. He's still got some action in the 12th house. And this is kind of my favorite kind of time. I'm kind of partial to this time because it puts his actions in the 12th house. I don't know. The prominence he hoped to achieve. And in number 10, he was the youngest professor in Harvard, I think. The youngest professor they'd ever hired in Harvard. So, there's that 10th house coming out. His action in the 12th house as secret enemies and staying behind the scenes, wanting to be secluded and doing things in seclusion and taking his action to the forest to live there. That's all 12th house, forest, stuff like that for solitude. He's still got all the other stuff, all the other aspects in place that we already talked about. So you can compare these 2 and see what you think. And just look at the houses and stuff. Both times might be wrong. Keep that in mind. I mean, I don't have proof of time of birth, which always bothers me. I'd love to see times of birth, like the actual certificate every time. But so I just have to trust these people. We got 2 different times of birth. So you can go through that chart and see what you think. I prefer the Theodore Kaczynski number 2. Myself, personal. Even though the number 1 has its own, the houses sometimes can be misleading. And it really doesn't matter to me because I'm not going by houses. I don't care about houses. I care about bombs. If I was going for different things, I might hone in on it and then make a final decision. But I'm not. And I'm not going to. I got to stick to bombs. So we got our bomb, right? Sun conjunct Uranus, Moon possibly square to Uranus, which would make more, that's interesting. Saturn conjunct Uranus, etc., etc. Okay, next, Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma bomber. You'll remember this guy was an amazing soldier. He wouldn't have made he was an amazing soldier. He was perfect for that role. He's got a lot of Aries, you'll see, which is your soldier. He just loves it. Venus in Aries, attraction to that sort of thing. He's got the steadfastness of Venus conjunct Saturn in Aries. What a good soldier quality there. He's got the typical soldier aspect of Mars squared Jupiter. These are sometimes people who glorify war, but it's still a warlike energy, and it's so fitting for Timothy McVeigh, the soldier. What happened here, as many people will know, is that in Waco, the government decided to set fire to babies and women and men, but they set fire knowingly to babies, knowing they were burning babies alive. That's nasty, right? But you don't see people lining up and freaking out about that even today, right? It's amazing how mainstream media alters the mind. As Jim Morrison once said, whoever controls the media controls the mind. So true. 2 words to that, 9/11. How many people still believe that fairy tale about the Osama bin Laden, when you got 4,000 professional architects and engineers fully licensed, who you need to call to find out why they fell in the first place? 4,000 of them have proven it to be controlled demolition, along with a professor who spent 4 years on one building. An old guy who's a professor up in Alaska. He doesn't like BS around. He's not going to lie for anybody. You should see the movie called Seven. And he spent 4 years on one building to rule out any possibility and come to a final conclusion. Controlled demolition. After 4 years, yeah, I'm sure he can come to a decision, right? He's ruled out everything. But I've known for 10 years it was controlled demolition. So it's really sickening just the way that people are just lured around like fish on a, no, think this way. People go, okay, I'll go with Bush and a couple of paid off people. Never mind 4,000 fully qualified architects and engineers. That's their job. What do you mean? A conspiracy theory. That's their job. The American Architects Association. That's who builds your buildings. Who you call to find out why they fell in the first place, or to build to withstand a certain wind. They're the ones who say it's controlled demolition, 4,000 of them. So that's case closed. And the government doesn't want it to go to court, obviously. That's a lose-lose situation, day one. Anyway, people are led around like so many puppies. Oklahoma bomber. He got pissed when the government decided to burn the babies alive. And they did burn them alive. Bill Hicks, the comedian, some people will remember, was on tour at the time, showed up at Waco, and they weren't allowed in. So they snuck around the back up into the fields, and they took out these giant telescopic lenses they were going to use because they were filming a special for Bill Hicks' comedy. So they had these amazing lenses, and they just zoomed right in, and they watched the U.S. government come in, knock a hole, and set the place on fire. That's who burned your babies alive, is your government. Period. Had it on film. A comedy team who doesn't care about politics. Anyway, Timothy McVeigh knew this, and that he turned against his government. So he blew up babies too. They can do it, he can do it. He was kind of trying to tell America something. He's saying, you're allowing your own your government's insane. They're bombing people every 20 years. They're going there, just like Russia is doing today. Right? It's just sickening. They're like apes. So yeah, he went against his government. I know that's what he did was seen much like Ted going about it the wrong way. But he wouldn't have been allowed on TV. His views would have been squashed. You don't see 4,000 architects and engineers on TV, even though they're fully qualified. They're not allowed on TV, by the way. That just shows you how powerful. It's owned and operated by the government, the media. So they're not going to be on TV anytime soon. You can go to them. It's Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. Get some science. Never mind that BS propaganda. Osama bin Laden. Bush. Joke. Anyway, so he used 5,000 pounds or 2,300 kilograms of ammonium nitrate. Did you see the damage on that building? Wow. He rented a Ryder truck. More than 300 buildings were damaged. Supposedly he was reading the Turner diaries. They try to blow it out of proportion to make him into the bad guy. I'm not actually interested. I know why he did it. He said why he did it. I'll go with him. But it was pretty bad. There were 169 dead. It used to be 168. One died later. Injured 853 people. That's major. Like I said, he was a good soldier. When he does something, he does a big job of it, right? And we might even see Pluto in there. I don't know yet. Including 21 children under the age of 5 injured. Ouch. Yeah, it's a shame that the children were there, but I think he was trying to put that point across. Oh, man. I can't really agree with that. You know? Yeah. I don't know. Staging something else, but don't actually kill the kids. But yeah, I guess the government killed some kids, and then he went and killed some kids. So you got government and Timothy. Maybe the government should be put on the electric chair too. Or was it lethal injection? Just take the government at that time, whoever made those decisions, to set the place on fire and give them a lethal injection. They killed a bunch of kids. Set them on fire. Ouch. Setting babies on fire. Give me a break. Anyway, let's get on with it. What time are we at? Let me just take a look here. We don't want to go too far over, my friends. 16 minutes. We got 10 minutes. No, 14 minutes. Let's do it. 14 minutes. I may have to cut this short. Timothy McVeigh has, as far as Uranus, he's got the moon opposite. He's got Uranus conjunct Pluto. That can't count. Uranus square ascendant in Gemini. That counts. So here's the bomb used to communicate an idea, because the communication is Gemini, right? On the ascendant. Mars square Jupiter, we've already gone through that. Mars opposite Neptune could be anger misplaced. Misplaced anger resulting in misplaced actions that are detrimentally bad. And that's kind of what happened to many people feel that way. Sure, Mars opposite Neptune agrees with you. Taking power maybe to the too extreme. A bit of radical emotions going on there with the moon opposite Uranus. Moon opposite Pluto. Yeah, he could have taken it way too far, you know, and gotten too involved and too hyped up. All of that looks like it happened. Too hyped up, went all the way, communicated it the wrong way with Uranus square Gemini. Okay? On the ascendant. By the way, who are these bombers? The Boston Marathon bombers. Only the one guy really seems to be important, and that's the older brother, because the younger brother, whose name is Dzhokhar Tsarnaev or something like that, the younger brother, he followed his older brother around like a puppy. So let's look at his older brother. He's a boxer. They're both in university. He likes mixed martial arts. We should see some Mars there, right? Mixed martial arts. Golden Gloves, champion boxing. Oh, yeah. Mars has to be there, right? 100%? That's 100%, right? I can't remember what I'm about to look at, but I'm about to look at it at the same time as you. Pull it up. Mercury square Mars. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Mercury square Mars, obviously intellectual. What else we got? Mars conjunct Neptune for the flexibility and subtle hits. Yeah. So we have Mercury square Mars. This guy takes action and can be violent. Where's Uranus in this? Because they did the marathon bombing. He's got Venus in conjunct Uranus. He's got, we don't know the time of birth, so I'm going to leave the moon out of it. So Venus in conjunct Uranus, Mars conjunct Neptune. It's a Mercury square Mars. I'm surprised he didn't use guns. He's got Jupiter square Saturn. Narrow-minded. Remember we were talking like Jupiter's expansive, Saturn restriction. He's got narrow-mindedness here for his philosophies. And for philosophies, let's say it here. He quoted as saying, God says no alcohol. There are no values anymore. People can't control themselves. The motive for the Boston Marathon bombing, which killed 3 people and injured 280 or 264, around there. I think it's around 280. The motive was political revenge, killing of Muslims in Afghanistan and Iraq. So that would be Jupiter square Saturn. So even if he's in the right, it's just showing that he's going after people who really had nothing to do with the war, you know, and killing Muslims. So whatever. Suspect in a triple murder along with younger bro. Killed at MIT. Oh, that's when they're making their getaway. They had to steal an SUV and all this, so the shootouts. That's all natural. Nothing to do with bombs. But we do get our bombs in there. Venus in conjunct Uranus. Okay? But that's not their main thing. Okay? This is something he's chosen as an intellectual idea, but we do get Uranus in there. And Venus is in Taurus for the physicality. I don't know what house it's in. Probably would have been helpful. But most importantly is Mercury square Mars for that anger. Jupiter square Saturn for the narrow-mindedness. Put the two together. Then they kind of say, let's get them. Let's do Venus in conjunct Uranus for attraction to that kind of thing. Boom, get out of there. So it was a narrow miss for a gun or something like that. So let's jump to the next one, the last one, because we've only got a couple of minutes. Never mind the brother. There's the brother's chart. The brother's chart is included if you want to look at it. All the charts are included, even his brother. Okay, throw his brother up there just for a second so you can see it. There it is. Okay, he had nothing to do with it. You can see he's not even that violent. He's not like his older brother, whom he just follows around and does whatever he says. So it's his brother who wanted the bombs. It's his brother who's kind of was leading the way with the philosophies too. Okay, Walter Leroy Moody. He's kind of an angry guy. He was going to go after and bomb a car dealer guy who repossessed his car. He was really pissed at him. So he was going to blow him up with a pipe bomb, but his wife found the bomb, opened it, and nearly killed herself. She was pretty badly maimed. I think it was shrapnel in the eye. Pretty bad. So a psychiatrist once said about him, he wanted to be a neurosurgeon. His psychiatrist once said about him, his evaluation, harboring violent thoughts. His name was Dr. Hall, the evaluator. Constantly afraid Moody might wind up, quote, in some sort of destruction towards society. Society, Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. We're going to watch for those three. Sent pipe bomb to Judge Robert Vance, killed instantly. Wife seriously injured, arrested along with second wife for the murder. The first wife left him after he had to spend some time in jail for possession of the explosive. Right? He couldn't prove that he was going to go after anybody. But he was. But they couldn't prove it. There wasn't enough proof. His wife left him after that. Of course, she's all maimed up and stuff. Probably didn't want to stick around. So he got married again. Second wife was arrested, but she testified against him and got, immunity. So he went after Judge Vance, who incidentally had nothing to do with putting him in jail before, because that's what he was doing. He was pissed that he was put in jail for so long for just owning an explosive. So he went back to get back at the judge with an explosive. But it wasn't that judge whose decision it was. It was actually someone else. So it was kind of misplaced there. He also sent a pipe bomb as a decoy and killed Robert Johnson, a black civil rights guy, attorney, 2 days. And so it was going through the mail. It ended up there 2 days later. He was already caught over here, but the bomb ended up over there. He had sent 2 other bombs as well, but they were caught and diffused. They were sniffed out and diffused. So he sent the thing to the civil rights attorney as a decoy to take the attention off him, and they would go after some radical group or something. You know what I mean? Against blacks or something. So it was a decoy he was hoping to do there. But he did kill the guy. So he's tried to kill 2 people and his auto dealer. So that's a bit of anger. When you go after an auto dealer, I'm picking on anger. That's my bet. Mars, not Uranus. Anger, Mars, should be available because this guy can't let it go. He got his car repossessed. Well, he didn't pay or whatever. He's just pissed. So he's got Mars opposite Uranus. And Uranus is, of course, the bomb. So he takes his anger and expresses it with a pipe bomb. Mars opposite Uranus. Okay? Mars is in Libra. Again, we see a lot of Libra in these, don't we? Justice, the sense of justice comes in to a lot of these charts, doesn't it? Depending on the nature of the bomber and what's going on around him, with the feeling the injustice of the world and all that crap. It's not crap, actually. There's a lot of injustice. What am I saying? Anyway, you know what I mean. Just winging it here. So we do get everything there again. We get the Mars and Uranus again. Mars opposite Uranus. That gives us the anger and the bomb all in one package. He's also got Venus conjunct Uranus, right? And Venus is in Pluto, or Venus in Taurus, which is the material item, conjunct Uranus, which is in Aries, which takes action. So it's a little more oomph there. And Mars is, of course, giving lots of action. It's the planet of war. So the three of them are kind of combining and kind of tell the whole story. As far as misconceptions and misplaced anger, you got Mercury opposite Neptune, Saturn opposite Neptune. So why would you go after a car dealer when you're the one that defaulted? Maybe the guy was a prick, but lots of people get screwed over. Obviously a bit of anger issue misplaced. Can't control it. And that's Mercury opposite Neptune, Saturn opposite Neptune. There he's sending bombs that people didn't do anything. Stuff like that, trying to be deceptive. Neptune, deceptive, right? That's Mercury opposite. But unstable, so he gets caught. He's also got Mars square Pluto. This guy is dangerous. This guy goes all the way. And that goes along with your bombs and stuff as well. Mars square Pluto, he'll blow up an entire stadium if he has enough explosives, this guy. He'll go all the way. Okay, so he's dangerous to the hilt. So there you go. That's kind of a quick downplay of a lot of people in a short amount of time, an hour and a half. I hope you enjoyed it. So whenever you're dealing with bombers, keep Uranus in mind, and then keep their anger in mind, as I said in the beginning, what the FBI was saying. Watch for those things and put it together yourself. What kind of bombs? What kind of situation? Is this guy just an eccentric, a radical thinker? And blah, 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 blah. Try to make those determinations. And then when you come out with your 100%, you should nail it. You'll know whether Uranus is definitely 100% or whether Mars is probably going to play a role, or misconstrued Neptune, Jupiter. If it's Jupiter, Uranus, then it might involve, radical thinking. You can kind of like play around with ideas, and then you can pull out suspects. You can say, yeah, give me everybody with a conjunction, square, opposition, or inconjunct to Uranus. Absolutely, there's enough there that Uranus has to be there. Then you separate anybody who has nothing but sweetness and gentleness with Uranus, right? With sextiles and trines and stuff like that. You can just move them aside. And just keep the ones who are, and just separate those, and then move in on the anger, then move in, tightening the bolts each time, separating more until you just end up with a small group of people and your bomber within them, right? Anyway, I hope that was a good learning experience, and you've got lots of opportunity to watch movies. I'm not sure if there's anything out there on Walter Moody, but there's usually documentaries. There'll be documentaries on the Boston bombing and stuff like that, the Boston Marathon and all that. Timothy McVeigh. There's all kinds of documentaries, some of them supporting him, some of them not. I don't support what he did, obviously, but I don't support the government burning babies alive either to save money. And it just shows you what they're capable of. And then they just put it on him, make him look like a freak. He wasn't. He was a great soldier. And not stupid. Look what that bomb did. That was his mission. Mission accomplished, right? No matter how destructive it is. They shouldn't have got him, so they got him pretty mad on that one. He was at Waco, by the way. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. He was at Waco, and that really disturbed him to the point that he's like, I'm done with you. In fact, I'm going to get you. You're going to pay for what you just did to those kids. And that's what he did. And he just went off all over the rails. But you saw he had that capacity to go off the deep end if pushed and go to the extreme, which he did. So anyway, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next week. I have no idea what I'm doing next week. I just know I'm going to go have a drink now. This is my third time attempting this. I talk too much. And all the charts are below. Help yourself. Watch some documentaries. Go through the charts yourself. Get a feel for those bombers. Start to get into the mode of criminal profiling with the charts. You'll see how accurate they are. Well, if you should already know that by now. It's the 9th blinking. Did you hear that? That's me knocking the table. Anyway, that's the 9th blinking episode. So you should start to see that how things are working out. We'll just get more intense as we go along. And you'll see even more. Okay, take care.